Hi guys, I wanted to take 5 minutes of your time and quickly introduce myself and Trading Grapes and also talk about these really cool wines. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Steph and my background is predominantly in the investment space, but I have a long-standing passion for wine, which actually came from my parents' hobby vineyard, where I learned pretty early on what it actually takes to craft a bottle of wine, and that appreciation has always stayed with me. So Trading Grapes is really just a combination of my background and my passion and sharing that with others. So whether you're looking for a great wine to drink now, cellar for later, or collect as an investment, we're essentially an online bottle shop with a slight difference. So as collectors ourselves, we know that it takes time and money, particularly when you're cellaring and investing in wine, to get the right environment. You need either a wine fridge or a climate controlled facility so that they can keep evolving over time. And if you haven't heard about investment grade wine before, we're really just talking about the 1% of the wine world. These are wines that have built up a track record of being collector favorites and performing well on the secondary market. So where ideally the demand outweighs the supply for that wine. And I love talking about wine. We've got some investment grade wines here. So to kick us off, not yet investment grade, but an up and coming producer from the Barossa. This is a Dero by Phase 3 Wines. It's a Shiraz. It's definitely one to watch because it's actually been, one, it's a beautiful wine, but it's also been likened to Sami-Odi, which is an investment grade wine from the Barossa, also Shiraz, really small production, really high demand. We've got another investment grade wine from the Barossa, also Shiraz. I feel like we've got a theme. This is the Standish Schubert theorem. I love this label. I love this wine, but their whole stand-up is really interesting because they only focus on Shiraz. So you get a real understanding of how the terroir, so the environment the grape is grown in, actually influences the wine on top of various different decisions winemakers make. I love a Bordeaux blend, and when we're talking about investment grade wine, it's pretty hard to go by Château Lafite because it's a first growth, so top of the hierarchy of something called the 1855 Bordeaux classification, which basically in 1855, they said these are the best wines. And they pretty much have been the same since 1855, really long built to age structure. Some of these can age for 50 plus years. And because in Bordeaux yield, so the amount of wine they can produce is really tightly controlled, basically when people are drinking that wine over time, you've got the gap between supply and demand that's growing. And that's essentially what investment grade wine is all about. I love a Californian wine. This is a Cab Sav. And although it's from a warmer climate, being California, it actually presents like a cool climate wine. And that's because it's up in the mountains, so Mount Veda, and when we have altitude, that becomes a cooling influence, which lengthens the ripening process, which means that we slow the process of acid levels dropping, sugar levels rising. So it presents more like a cool climate wine. It's actually been likened to Château Lafite, which is another investment grade wine in Bordeaux. I love a Chardonnay. I think this is my varietal of choice at the moment. And the Giant Steps Applejack Vineyard just won Best White Wine of the Year for 2025 in Australia. I love Chardonnay because you can get a very different flavor profile based on the decisions that winemakers make. So this one hasn't gone through a process of malolactic fermentation, which is a process that essentially converts the malic acid into lactic acid, which is what we find in milk, which then gives it a buttery sort of flavor. But when you don't go through that process, you get a more crisp acid line, crisp, fresh wine. And I love that. Love both styles. But yeah, definitely such an amazing, versatile varietal that I love. And if we go back to just an everyday wine, I love a Broken Waters producer. I think they are fantastic value for money. Love a Hunter Semillon because it's known for its ability to age. And in its youth, it's very dry, fresh, light, not a huge amount of flavor, but over time that really develops. And I personally love a white wine with a bit of age. So I hope that gives you a better sense of me, what we're about, the wines that I love to talk about. Any questions, let me know. Cheers.